hat hair. Itchy. The next update I have to share with you is about the chimney. I haven't really talked about that yet, but it's complete. So this chimney right here is brick. It's got 2 flues. One is 8 by 8 inches. The other one is 8 by 10, I believe. And that's because we were planning to run 2 wood stoves, one in the basement, one in the living room, which you've seen. And so that'll give a little bit more volume for airflow for the wood stoves. So that is why we have 2 flues, and then the other flue will be for the furnace. As you can see, we've got a little bit of creosote dripping out here. I don't know if you caught that. That's because the stovepipe doesn't fit quite nice and tight in there, and I'm not too concerned about that right now because it's not spilling smoke in the house. And the stove itself is gonna be moved. I need to add another elbow to the stovepipe and center it against the chimney and move it away from that wood box closet just a little bit more. And then the height of it is also gonna change because right now it's sitting on the subfloor, and then we've got a piece of tin underneath it just to reflect the heat and protect the floor. And then it's sitting on bricks right now just to give it a little bit of height and not knowing how hot it would get underneath the stove. So that's how the stove is sitting currently. But once it's finally installed in our living room, we're gonna have a slate floor. So between the slate and then we'll match the slate floor to the height, the final height of our wood floor that we'll have in our living room. So that'll be nice and flush. So the height of the stove is gonna change, the position of the stove is gonna change. So the stovepipe is not screwed together like it should be either. So it's not nice and tight. It's not up tight against the chimney. So we've got a little bit of leakage that we'll have to clean up, but should be all right. I honestly think this chimney is beautiful. It is made with 100% old brick. And by old brick, I mean recycled brick off of previous jobs that our mason reused. He chipped off the old mortar, put it up in our house. Knowing that we're going for the old farmhouse style look of the mid 1800s is really what we were modeling this house after. Our mason took that into consideration and mixed a little lime in with the mortar, which gives it a little lighter, whiter tone to it than a traditional just gray mortar that you might use on a new brick chimney. Using old brick also saved us a little bit of money. I can't remember how much that saved us. It was probably $500 or $1,000 by using old brick. The whole cost of the chimney set me back $8 grand, which isn't too bad. I had a couple other quotes that were pushing $14,000, $16,000 for a full brick chimney, which is crazy. And honestly, if I didn't know our mason and had a quote for 14 and a quote for 8, I would have been like, what's going on here? But it's the same mason who built my parents' chimney back in 97 or 98. So I've seen his work there. He's also done a lot of work for my grandfather. He built a really nice stone front to his garage. He's also a local guy. I like to support local guys rather than larger companies. And I knew him. I didn't necessarily know him personally, but I know the family because we went to school with his kids. He had children on either side of my grade as well. So he's a local guy. I knew him. And so he built this chimney for me. One thing that kind of bothers me is this little hole right here. There's a little hole. It's just like a chunk out of the brick, but I wonder how many times somebody's gonna come in my house, stick their finger in the hole, because that's the first thing I did. It's the first thing Kylie did. I think it's the first thing Mom and Dad did, because you see the hole, it's right at eye level. It's like, hey, what's that? You just stick your finger in it. Anyway, whatever. Sorry. And here we are in the basement where the chimney starts. Now, one thing that we had to do before putting in the chimney is, well, one, knowing where the chimney's gonna go, and the concrete floor is actually thicker underneath this whole area. Here's a picture of that. And that extra thickness is to support the weight of the chimney, because there's a lot of weight in those bricks. So it needed a good footing and foundation underneath that as well, so it doesn't crack the concrete or worry about it falling down. I really like the old brick on this chimney because it's not perfectly square, it's not perfectly uniform color. It's got some different colors to it, it's got some different textures to it. It gives it a lot of character, and it looks like it's been around a while. I think another reason that I really like the chimney is because it's like the first finished surface in the house. Everything right now is rough framing still for the most part, but the chimney is what it is. That's what it's gonna look like. So to have that, it's that nice color and contrast in the house, it looks really nice. And it really is a thing of beauty. So I've been taking a lot of pictures and a lot of video of the wood stoves with the chimney behind it and the wood pile. It gives great color, great composition in the photos, and wood heat is one of my favorite things. So there's two main reasons why we position the chimney where it is. A lot of people put the chimney on the outside of the house, which looks nice aesthetically from the outside, but you lose a lot of the efficiencies from that. First off is your wood stove would be on the edge of the house. So the other side of the house, like the kitchen, would be a lot colder. But by positioning the wood stoves in the center of the floor plan of the house, you allow even distribution of heat, so the kitchen really isn't that much colder than the office. Another reason is the heat from the smoke heats the brick, so you've got all this thermal mass staying warm in the center of your house and not outside the building. So you've got a lot of the heat coming right off of the pipe and right off the chimney stays centrally located. If you'll notice in the living room, the bottom of our stairs, which is also in the center of the house, is open on the side of the wood stove. And that's purposefully to let the heat from the wood stove work its way upstairs and to heat the bedrooms upstairs fairly evenly as well. If you've noticed, I stacked my wood right now between the studs of this basement wall, which works pretty good because as you're stacking the wood, it doesn't just fall down. I didn't want it over here close to the chimney because it's awfully close to the stove. And I didn't have anything else to build or hold the wood to pile it up against here. But by tucking it in between the studs, it allows it nice walls to hold it in place, so it's a nice square stack. I did have a real nice big sized pile over there on the exterior wall. Note the firewood sign behind the thermometer, but I burned all that down and I thought, well, if I'm gonna bring in more wood, I'm gonna put it over here. In the long term, I plan to stack 3 cord of wood in my basement right there on that outside wall, but we are getting closer to insulating and we're gonna spray foam the inside of the basement, so I didn't want a big stack of wood right there in the way.